Evening, everybody. How is everyone?
Hello.
Hello? Craig?
Hello.
Tom, are you there?
Hello, hello, hello.
I thought, oh, they've left me. They've been talking to me. They've gone.
No,
They've
no,
gone
no,
on.
no. My sound went. Sorry, my bad. My bad. Good evening.
Right.
How are we?
I'm very well. How about you?
All good, all good. It's nice to be back. Thank you for having me. And
It's been wonderful.
I can't remember the last time that I was here. I can't remember the last time we were chatting. It's been a little while, but yeah, it's nice to be back.
And we have a new face on our channel. Tom, everybody, this is Tom Davison. Hi, Tom.
Hello.
Right, shall we let you guys introduce yourselves? Who wants to go first? Who wants to fight for first place? Go
Tom,
on.
you go for it.
Hello, I'm Tom. I live in St. Albans. I'm a spiritualist medium, which means I'm able to communicate directly with friends and loved ones in spirit. I do circles, events, private readings, platform at churches internationally and in the UK. And I'm also a trustee and treasurer and secretary at St. Albans Church.
Excellent stuff, excellent stuff. Well, evening, everybody. And as always, it's nice to be with Richard and, of course, Tom there. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Craig Morris, and I've had the pleasure of being on SPTV in the past a few times before, so it's nice to be back. Spiritualist medium, psychic medium, have the pleasure of working up and down the country, also abroad teaching, which is great fun. And yeah, again, very similar to Tom, offer private readings. I've been, certainly through the lockdown, been offering lots of private readings, a lot more than what I would usually. Lots of virtual events as well, which has been good fun. But yeah, so yeah, that's me.
I'm Richard, Capricorn, alcoholic. Oh, no, wrong place. No, that's not one, is it?
That's tomorrow.
Yes. Well, shall we do some hellos to a few of our viewers? I hope everybody's doing well. Who we got on tonight? We have our lovely Veronica, who's on with us.
Hello, hello.
We have Stace.
Hi, Stace. Nice to see you.
Heidi.
Heidi. Hello, hello, hello. Evening campers. I love it. It's certainly the weather for it, isn't it?
Hello, Alison.
Alison, hello.
We got Natalie there.
Natalie, hello to you. Thank you to everybody that's joining us. It's nice to have you all with us. Tony as well.
Please tell us where you're coming from as well, so we get an idea as to where you're all watching from. To Olivia.
Hello, hello, hello.
Terry. A big thanks to Terry. She's our admin as well. Does a lot of the social media, and she also has that big spanner on YouTube. Yeah, YouTube. So if you want to cause any issues, she'll come chasing you with her spanner. In other words, she's the admin for on there.
Shelley, good evening. Hope you're well.
We have the beautiful Joe Stainsby.
Joe.
Hi, Joe.
Tina.
Lots of people in, which is good. Sue as well. Lovely to see you.
For those who are here for the first time, if you've never been here, actually that makes sense. If you've never been here if you've been here for the first time, you can ask us any questions if you want. We might answer them, we might not answer them. It depends on if we get a chance to read them. But the comments are coming up automatically now, gentlemen, for you. So they will be on screen for us, and they last about 10 seconds on a rotation system. So we're now slowly coming out of this lockdown. Has it been busy for you two during all this?
Very.
Because I know you talked about your church earlier on.
Sorry?
You mentioned before we went on air, you were talking about your church. And
yeah, it's been super busy at the church. We've had so many people. We're one of the only ones that have been open the whole time, so it's been awesome.
Excellent. But when you say as well, we've been open all the time. I know we were talking about it but you were saying that there's lots of new people coming in as well. And yeah, through the lockdown, have you found that they've started to come through the door more often? It's not just once in a blue moon. They've been coming quite often.
Definitely repeat customers.
Brilliant. And again, following on from what we said before we came live on the air there, I think it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant that, because for some people do need that physical interaction. I know that we can do this, and this is brilliant, by the way. Richard and the team do a fabulous job, to be able to reach out to people virtually. But of course, some of the and I mean it in a nice way and respectfully, but for the older generation that perhaps don't know how to use iPads and phones and things like that, to be able to go and see a virtual service, I think it's great to be able to go to a church like yours.
It is. It's been really frustrating not being able to sing and not being able to hug or touch or, any of that. But at least we're open. We're providing a lovely environment, and everybody's enjoying it. So, yeah, it's been really good.
Good. Excellent.
Do you find out, have you been streaming live as well, Tom, Drawn?
We did in November when they did the lockdown in November and made everything shut. So we did streaming that month, but we went right back to being open again as soon as we were able to. I mean, we're lucky. We have a relatively young committee. So, we have people that can come in, and it's not such a big deal. And we have a number of people and volunteers, so everybody sort of kicks in. And we've always said as long as we can provide a safe environment, then we'll keep the doors open. But as soon as we think it's not safe, the doors will close.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's been really good.
And how about yourself, Craig? You're a sellout tomorrow. You got an event with the wonderful Billy Cook, and it's like just gone, sold out.
Yeah, So I certainly with my work, working from home, as I said earlier on, it was one of those things where once we got the lockdown last year, I thought to myself, oh blimey, are we going to be okay? Because of course, most of my work is usually out on the road serving spiritualist churches, centres, and and I do a few theatres as well. And of course, most of the places that I would usually go to obviously closed the doors, so everything became virtual. And yeah, it's been really, really busy with private readings, one-to-one mentoring, and of course, then as you say, working with Billy, we've done some. We've done some online stuff, as I have done with Gareth as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've been really lucky that, I mean, the last few workshops that Billy and I have done in particular, we've had people from Australia, America that have joined us. And there was one lady who, bless her, she was late logging on, and she did message saying, I'll be there in a minute. And when she came onto the Zoom class, she goes, I'm really sorry, but it's like, I can't, it was stupid o'clock. It was something like 4 or 5 in the morning for her, where she was, to be able to join us. And I just thought, that is what you call dedication.
Absolutely,
so
yeah.
It's been really good being able to reach lots of other people in different parts of not just the country, but also the world as well, which is brilliant. So, yeah.
Liz Norman is saying, hey, Tom, I'm not sure about that finger then.
I did have to check that, to be fair.
Like, what was that?
Yeah, it is the right one.
Yeah,
a quick blink at that, you think it's something else.
We got Pamela there, Pamela Rogers saying hi as well.
Hi, Pamela. Nice to see you.
I've got a lot of new faces coming in as well, so come on in, say hello, everybody.
Absolutely. That's what we like. It's what we like.
Yeah, absolutely. If you've got any questions for these wonderful gentlemen, then by all means say hi and ask away. Marcus is saying hello, I've just noticed. Hi, Marcus.
Hi, Marcus.
Marcus is one of our tutors here on SPTV. For any of those who are interested in becoming a SPTV VIP member, what that basically means, because we get a lot of emails asking what it is, it's where you kindly donate to SPTV, and it allows us to pay for all the outgoings that we have to keep SPTV going. We're non-profit, no money goes into anybody's pocket, it all goes back out for the costs that we have. And to say thank you, we run quite a few free classes, and one of them is run by Marcus, and it's for those who are developing mediums, completely free of charge, once a fortnight. And the other fortnight is with the lovely Veronica Jenkins, who does Fledglings Evenings, where we allow anybody who runs or part of a group that helps fledglings grow, they come on to our Zoom evening, and they can practice on all our VIPs.
Excellent.
And if they're rubbish, they're not back again. No, no. And and it's to help them. We also we've been doing an experiment recently, gentlemen. I don't know if you knew about this. We've been doing a trance night every fortnight, where for VIPs again, where we sit in a group and we ask the same 10 questions in trance to spirit. It's a pure experiment to see if the answers come back the same and see if they're different, because as you know, mediums give their own input, their own thoughts on things, and we get different answers. So we thought, well, wait a minute, what can we do if we can speak to spirit directly via trance to see if we get the same answers? And so far it's been very interesting with the answers that we've got with the 2 people we've had so far in trance. It's been amazing. So that's the sort of benefits that we have. We have a VIP lounge as well, and they get discounts on private readings, workshops and talks. So there's a lot of advantages to become VIP. So that's hopefully answers the questions for anybody else who wants to know what a VIP is. Little Rosie is saying, hi guys. Samantha's saying hi as well.
Hello, hello, hello.
Heather is saying hello.
Hello.
Who else got saying? Di saying hello to us.
There seems to be lots of people. I've just seen Diane saying that she's a fledgling at the moment, but saying that my spiritual breath is evolving slowly but surely. Here's the thing. Here's just as we're on that as well, if you don't mind. One thing I would say with that, certainly, and this is across to anybody, whether you're just starting or if you've been developing for the last year since the lockdown, remember there's that famous saying, Rome wasn't built in a day. Patience is a virtue, trust me. I'm speaking from experience. When I first started my development, I literally, as soon as I walked into that classroom, I was like, right, how do I hear the spirit world? How am I going to see them? And when's it going to happen? And literally, I went to see my very first medium and she told me it was going to happen. And I went back 4 months later, only 4 months. And I said, right, when's it going to happen? Nothing's happened yet. That's how impatient I was. But having evolved myself through my journey, and Tom, I don't know if it'll be the same for yourself there, but one thing I have learned, it's a bit like school. You know, once you leave school and then you look back and you think, blimey, school days were really the best days of my life. I wished I could go back. It's a bit similar to that. I know school wasn't great for everybody, granted, but it certainly was for me. And with my development, and I think it's fair to say, even though we might have been doing this 10, 15, 20 years, I still think somewhere along the line we're evolving anyway. So you're never going to stop, Diane. Remember that. You're never going to stop evolving.
Absolutely.
Every day you're getting, every day of development, every day you're sitting, you're dedicating your time and your energy to the spirit world and to help those that are coming to your pathway at some point. But yeah, I mean, Tom, I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
And no, I mean, exactly the same. I mean, I'm still learning now. You know, one good thing about being at the church all the time is that I sit there and I watch other mediums, and you would just be so surprised how much you can learn just from watching other people, the way they connect and the way they connect with humans, you know, the way they connect with us here. That's what makes a difference.
Definitely. And you're there to help one another as well. That's the thing, you know. Some of the workshops and classes that I've run over the lockdown period, where some people have come into the class and they've all turned around and said, I want to be as good as that person, and I want to be as good as that person. And my answer is always the same. Remember that you can only be yourself. There is only one you. You are unique in a positive way. You know, just because somebody might be going a bit quicker than you doesn't mean to say that they've learnt more than you or they've got more experience. It just means that, just take your time, just enjoy it as well. Just enjoy it. So, definitely.
But that's the thing, though, because that's when ego comes in, though, doesn't it?
Sadly, yeah, sadly.
And there's plenty of mediums out there that we do need ego. We all need our ego, don't we? At the end of the day, to help us progress with our own spirituality or to our own getting out of bed every day. We need to do that. But there comes to a point where you get too big for your britches, as the expression goes, and you need to come down. I always remember... Go on, Craig.
No, please. No, I was interrupting you. I'm sorry, go for it.
I always remember an expression a guy said to me once, is that we give it and we take it. And for me, it was a very valuable lesson to say, okay, don't abuse what you have because you're there to help. You're there for guidance, to support. You've been, to a degree, even though we all have that ability, but we have been chosen, I think, in my view, that Spirit wants to communicate with you, that you've allowed that to happen. So you are a special person, no matter how you look at it. You know, the knowledge that you have already with Spirit is going to help those people that are around you. I believe people come and go in your life all the time. Sometimes they stay for a very long time. Sometimes they stay for only a few months, maybe a couple of years. But from that time, you've learned something. You've learned that you can grow, that you can take from that person. Not on purpose, but you can learn from each other. That's what I believe. For me, spirituality isn't about sitting down, doing the meditating every single day. I believe spirituality is how you grow within yourself. That's my view on it. That's what I believe. And speaking to Spirit is just an addition to it, in my view. But anyway, Deborah has asked a question. She goes, how do I know when my spirit visit me, I get a bird at my window all the time? What do you think, guys?
Interesting. Tom, go for it.
Pass the buck there.
You have birds feed outside the window. I mean, spirits with you all the time. They're always around us. They're constantly with us. I mean, just knowing that you've got the bird out there at the window, that's just a connection, just to let you know that they are there. I mean, one thing that you always see too, or I know people see, is when you're sort of looking out the window and you catch just out the corner of your eye that little flash of light, that little shadow looking thing that goes by. That's Spirit as well. They're there. They want to be noticed. And bringing that bird to the window, that's bringing them to you. That's making you notice that they are there.
Absolutely. I think the spirit world, excuse me, I think the spirit world are, if they know that you've recognized that as a sign or a symbol that they're around, they're going to use all the time, is the way that I say, is the way I would see that. And yeah, very much like Tom, I echo what Tom says there, to be honest. So definitely. And I think also, just while I'm saying that, actually, I think it's also important to remember that there's lots of more ways as well that your loved ones will let you know that they're around. Sometimes you might just be at home dusting around or whatever, and all of a sudden you just get a thought of a loved one in your mind. That's their way of saying hello. You might hear a favourite song that belonged, to a loved one. That'll be their way of saying hello, or whatever it might. Just a little something. You might get a smell or anything like that. It could be anything. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's funny how we progress as we're going back to the comment of seeing signs like robins. I've never understood where that came from. Do you guys know? I'm guessing Veronica or Marcus would probably know that. Why is it that we associate robins to be a message from Spirit?
No idea.
Yeah.
No idea is the honest. I think it's when where we used to live in Devon, we used to see them quite often, and then even where we are now, one of the first birds that we saw out in the back garden was a robin, and we see them. And yesterday I threw out some little biscuit things into the garden. Again, the first bird that came down, first thing swooped down and went straight to was a robin. So it's, I don't know. I don't think it would even need to be a robin, to be honest. I think it's just something that is spoken about that often. And if it's something that helps people to become aware that our loved ones are around, then great.
Yeah.
See, for me, I was doing my garden the other week. I was raking the lawn, and this robin came flying down and sort of sat there. I took a picture. I stood there, I should say, and looking at me as though, hurry up, I want to get the worms. Yeah. And it was just, I thought, well, I'd be as quick as I possibly can. And it wouldn't move. Every time I moved down a little bit, it followed. And I thought, I've got a stalker here.
Oh, blimey.
Oh, dear. Oh, Veronica doesn't. She goes, no idea. Wow.
I'm going to Google that, I am.
Yeah.
I am going to Google that because I want to know that now.
So and Marcus, Well, they have no ideas. I think we have to find 2 new tutors, I believe. Don't know any answers.
I will be looking that up, I tell you. So I'm just looking at this comment that's on the screen at the minute from, I love that name, by the way, Little Rosy Sunshine. I learn life lessons from anyone that I meet. I know there's always a message there for me. Sometimes you can meet people and straight away you have a gut instinct or intuition, if you like to call it that as well, of knowing whether it's, somebody that you're going to gel with, somebody that you're not. I always remember when Wayne and I, my other half, we went on our first holiday together with our friends from Clacton, Roy and Darren. And I'd never met Roy or Darren before. And Wayne had been sort of trying to wind me up a little bit, saying, oh, Roy's going to wind you up and all of this. I said, well, as long as he can take it as well, that's the main thing. And literally, as soon as we met, we just got on so well. We actually ripped Wayne apart, to be fair. And that's how it was for 2 weeks. And we got on really, really well. And it's not even just meeting somebody within the work aspect of what we do. I think it's just in general as well. But I think, going back to what Tom was saying, talking about Tom's church, for example, or any other church, the amount of people that walk through the doors, and you can just talk to somebody straight away. And you may not realise, but it may be you, the individual. I mean, Tom, you might be able to relate to this, but how many times have you had somebody walk through the door, especially in the last year, and you can just see that it's just something they need to talk to, nothing else, just a conversation.
You just know they need it. They need to be there that day. Whether they get a message, a personal message or not, they just really needed to be there that day. And if we can just meet that one person, that's why we do what we do.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
How long have you been involved with the church, Tom?
With St. Albans since about 2012.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, where I'm from, we don't really have spiritualist churches. Not down south.
Whereabouts are you originally from?
From Atlanta, down south, the Bible Belt. Yeah. Down there, churches like this, spiritualist churches would be burned. They wouldn't stand for very long, unfortunately.
Blimey. And that's in a way, it's a little bit sad as well, because
there's so much that we do that people could learn from.
Yeah.
And that could help people. I mean, I remember as a kid, my grandmother did readings, and people would come over, and on the Friday night they'd come over to get the reading, but on the Saturday morning at the grocery store they would ignore you, like they never knew you. That's just the way it is there. But still, it's 2021 and it's still that way.
I mean, I'm always for one for saying for people listening, if you don't believe in it or it's not your thing, then that's all good. All good. But at the same time, I think it's also important to recognise, because sometimes I go back to the point again. Sometimes all we need to do is just talk to people. We don't have to sit there and say, "Oh, you've got to believe in what I do," because this is what I do, and give them a message. Sometimes it's just about talking to people and opening up their minds. And I certainly think with what we as spiritualists, we have that. We're very lucky that we have that ability of freedom to be able to just sort of say, actually, this is how. Whenever I open up in prayer, not all the time, but sometimes I just invite people to, invite their God, however they perceive their God to be. So somebody asked me ages ago, I say ages ago, probably 2 years ago now, a friend said, "So do you believe in God?" I said, "I do, yeah." So, but not all of my spiritual friends will. They'll believe in a source, for example. I said, "But here's the thing, how would you perceive God?" It was the first time I met 2 Mormons, that was it, in Cannock Town Centre. And they said, "Excuse me, sir, do you believe in God?" I said, "Okay." I said, "How do you perceive God?" And they just kind of looked back as if to say, "So what religion are you?" I said, "I'm a spiritualist." And we got on really well. They come to my church, I went to theirs. And we got on really well with that, because it was like, well, why does God have to be a man? Why can't it be a woman? Or why does it have to be a person? So I think we're very lucky in that sense that we can have that openness with it as well.
It makes a difference. It does, because there's so many more people that can join us. They're not trapped by those. They're not constrained by those same things.
Absolutely. Just while we're on it as well, because I've just seen Tim's popped up there as well. I've not looked yet, but Tim, I don't know if Tim Abbott is a very dear friend of mine, and him and his wife Jeanette were played a very a vital role in my development. Wonderful teachers, tutors, and mediums as well. But I just looked up. I've just kind of Googled the robin, and it says that a robin symbolises in different cultures it means different things, but a robin bird meaning is hope, renewal, and rebirth. It symbolises new beginnings, new projects, and a sign of good things to come. So all round, it's positive.
Mm.
I've learnt something new.
Well, there you go. That's what it's all about, is learning.
I do Tim's comment about the birds in there. It's funny because growing up, my grandmother used to do stuff with birds as well. And magpies, oh my goodness, never let my grandmother cross a magpie. I mean, she's doing all kinds of things under her breath, saying all kinds of old wives' tales to try and cross off those magpies to make sure they're not going to take somebody.
Reminds me of the film The Birds. I know about magpies. That's like attacking.
Everything but the crows. The crows were okay.
Yeah. Tim was saying it's sad what you referred to about down south. Spiritualist churches would be burnt when Martin spiritualism started in America with the Hydesville Rapids in 1848.
Yeah. I mean, it is really sad. In the state of Georgia, there are no spiritualist churches. You won't find any at all. And forget about it in Mississippi and Alabama. That's just, it's not going to happen. I'm not even aware of any in Louisiana. They just don't do it there. I mean, they have happy clapper churches, but not spiritual churches. I mean, the clapping, yeah. I mean, that's what I grew up with, was the clapping churches. People yelling, screaming.
But Tom, just as a question, because obviously, just like here in the UK, there are mediums that go on the road, go on tour, and go into these big venues and theatres and stuff. In those parts of the US, would there not be any of like the bigger name mediums that will go into these towns or cities?
Yeah, they do, but not huge venues. I mean, they wouldn't play an O2 in the South. Well, they would in Florida, because Florida is different. Yeah. Florida, even Southerners, we don't consider Florida part of the South, really. I'm sorry if there are any Floridians on the call, but yeah, it's mostly what they call snowbirds. So people from up north that come down south when it gets cold. Yeah, so that works.
I was in Florida in 2019, and we're good friends with a lady called Rosemary Altea, if you've heard of her at all. Yeah. She lives in Florida. She's sort of near Venice, I think it is, and it's she's a lady that's done. I'm trying to think of the shows now. One I know was Oprah, but she's done others, whichever one she's done anyway. But I tell you what, honestly, some of the tales that she's told us when she's gone into some of the different cities, as you're saying, it's like I go into this city, or I've been into that city before, but it's like, right, will you come and do this for us? But it's kind of on the hiding, or it's kind of in here. So yeah.
Definitely.
Blimey.
I mean, outside of the South, it's okay. It's recognized. It's not such a big deal.
So then, obviously, so I presume then, if you were to go to the South and you were to have, you were to have a conversation with somebody locally, just to say that you're here for, you're going to go and see a medium, would they just sort of, frown upon you?
They would probably pull people like us behind their pickup trucks.
Right. Okay. Blimey. I didn't realise that. Realise that at all.
So if you get invited to go down south for a demonstration, just don't go.
I'm busy that day. Blimey. Yeah.
So have you two both sat in development circles?
Yes, I still sit in the development circle. Well, we have 3 at our church, and yeah, I still try and go to them as much as possible.
Yeah, I certainly have again. Excuse me, as you've just seen Tim there. It was Jeanette, his wife's circle that I sat in. I was fortunate to be invited into that closed circle there, and some of the, many of the mediums that I sat with, some of them still sit in the circle, and it was. It was by choice, but it also wasn't by choice that I left the circle. It was just because there was more and more events. There was more and more bookings. I went on tour with Colin, and lots of things were happening. And it got to a point where almost every night I was out the house. I didn't really have that much downtime. And Jeanette, both Tim and Jeanette did say to me, at some point, Craig, you will leave this circle. At some point, you're going to go. And I did, but even now, I still think it's important to have that grounding. It's important to have that foundation of sitting in a circle. To be honest,
Just to let everybody else at home know, we're seeing the comments come up, and I don't know about you two, but I'm getting very confused about 5 bananas, 6 bananas, 7 bananas more. Now they're talking about potatoes. This is the intelligence of our VIP members in the YouTube channel. I'm not even going to ask what they go.
Got to have a laugh.
Just for the newbies who are getting into doing mediumship and things, what would you say what a circle means, a development circle means? Because they might hear the terminology so many times and think, I have no idea what goes on and what is it.
I mean, for me, it all depends as well, whether you're talking of an open circle or a closed circle, because, of course, churches have both, or certainly churches where I've been a member at over the years have had both. And an open circle is quite simply, of course, where somebody can, if you're passing by, you can't make it every week and you want to go, then that's great. But a circle for me, is what it does. It gives you a foundation of understanding. Certainly from my experience and my perspective, that when you're sitting in the power and you're in the company of the spirit world and like-minded people, you're not only developing your ability as a medium, but you're developing your grounding, you're developing the awareness, you're pushing out the boundaries of your mediumship. And you're evolving, and it's not even just about being able to connect to somebody from the spirit world, but it's being able to go for, whenever I teach, I always say, bring the story alive. Don't just sit there and say, I'm aware of a lady, she feels like mom, and I think she passes with it. It also gives you a confidence as well, and not in an egotistical way, but it gives you a confidence. And I think as well, some people say, well, do you sit in a circle to go out on the platform, or do you sit in a circle to just do readings? You can do either. But there were people that I sat in circle with that did it just for them. They weren't bothered about doing readings, and they weren't bothered about doing dems. I mean, I don't know how it was for you, Tom.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. I mean, people sit in circle to not only learn about spirit, but to develop themselves.
Absolutely.
I mean, one of the most important things I think about sitting in circle is learning how to deliver messages. So yeah, we can all connect with spirit, but we all are not able to deliver a message in a meaningful way that people are able to take, and that will help them move forward.
I think it's also important as well. I'm just thinking of a demonstration that Billy Cook and I did together, and just going on what you said there, Tom, about being able to deliver a message. Because, of course, 1 minute you can be giving a message to somebody from their grandmother who was like Mrs. Brown, effing and blinding and all of this. The next, you could be giving a message to a mother from a child who's passed, and you're going from one end of the spectrum to the other. So to be able to present that in a way. But also, I think what's important is the ability of learning to receive a message as well.
Yeah.
I think is also important, and and I think when you're like I said, there was a demonstration that Billy and I did. It's been a few years now, but we were there, and we're all for a laugh. And if anybody's seen Billy work, or if anybody's seen me work, we do have a laugh and we do have a giggle. However, we also have the respect of who it is that we're communicating with and who's sat in front of us as well, because there's that importance there. But There was certainly a point on that night where it came about that the person that was receiving a message was developing, and the words were quite simple. Listen, even though you're learning to deliver a message, you've also got to learn to receive a message as well. So I think that's also an important part of it as well.
Sorry guys, no one, just changing subject here. No one, people say you can always tell the character of a person what they have by the books they have on the bookshelf.
Yeah.
Now I'm looking behind you guys. Now, Craig, I'm seeing Superman, but what worries me about Tom, I see someone small headed and a sword.
I'm a big fan of Highlander, the TV show, and that's a Highlander MacLeod sword.
Ah.
And yeah, that is an African death mask. Yeah.
There can only be one. Isn't that it?
But, I used to travel a lot for work, and I've been to most of the African, the small African countries, and every time I would fly to a weird place, I would always buy one, and bring it back. So I have masks from Tanzania, Zimbabwe, Namibia, all of the lovely little countries there.
Do you get any sort of funny looks when people come into your house and thinking?
Yes, especially the landlords.
Saying, we're not going to pay the rent this month. Is that okay? Here's my sword, by the way. There's only one. Sort of thing. I remember the film with Christopher Lambert.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Sean Connery.
Adrian Paul.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember the film. So Veronica's saying she used to love watching The Highlander. And there's a few people coming in as well saying hello. So hi to everybody again. Hi to Sue. It's not that we haven't been and acknowledge you. So yeah. Julius said something. Where you sat in a circle and a medium will come. Oh, I'll turn the automatic off so then I can read that.
You sit in a circle and a medium in front of you and pass. Yeah. See, again, yeah. I mean, there are circles that you can go and sit in, and I think this is where we're going with this, Julie. I think if I'm wrong, then please tell me. But there are some circles that I've been a part of and run before now, where it's just like, right, let's say there's 10 of you all together. It's like, right, let's sit in the power, let's connect, let's attune to the spirit world, and let's just go on that journey and see where our helpers, our guides take us. We come back, we discuss it, we talk about it. Right, who's got what? Let's go with it. Right, okay, it's that gentleman there. You've got something. Let's go. And I think, and then, so that I think is when you're talking of a circle, or I don't want to say traditional, but certainly an open circle. I think that would be more of, and that's good as well. It's good because it's there. It's when you meet different people like that you also learn more as well. As Tom was saying earlier on, sometimes you can just watch mediums work and you don't realise how much you can learn just by listening to them and just watching them work. So yeah, I think that's where Julie was going with that, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, some circles you'll go and you can go sit in a circle, and maybe that circle, the purpose of it is to just sit and you give messages to each other. I mean, so you don't necessarily have to be in a circle that is specifically for development. You're still learning, you're still developing, and all circles have different purposes. Some you go to and you're only there to learn how to do platform work.
So where
I found one that I liked.
Well, that's what they say, isn't it? You've got to move around till you feel comfortable with the people that you're with. Don't just go to one and think, yeah, this is for me, because it may not be. They may be draining you and just using you to a degree.
Yeah.
It's like when you go for reading. If you don't feel comfortable with the medium, just say, I'm sorry, I don't feel comfortable with you. Leave. Which brings me on to another thought. What's your thoughts on when you give a message to someone, or you see mediums giving messages to the recipient, the congregation, the viewers, whatever, and they keep saying no, or they turn or they twist it to make it fit the reading? What's your thoughts on that, of mediums fitting what they get?
To do. I don't. When I'm doing readings, I don't try and make things fit. That doesn't, it just doesn't work for me. There needs to be a purpose behind it. There needs to be a feeling and emotion in there. And if I didn't think I was going to be able to, well, it all depends too on where you're at, you know, or if you're on platform and you're just doing a demonstration, then you know you're doing a 2 to 5 minute demonstration for a person, and you're not going to give them the same kind of information as you would if you were in a half an hour or an hour private reading.
Yeah, I think if you keep getting a no, I think you as the medium have to take the responsibility to say, listen, this isn't working. I know I certainly have. I'm not afraid of doing that either, because I think it's, again, I go back to the point of I've been very lucky over the years, right from my development even to where I am now. The people that I've had, you know, and been surrounded by, being guided by, you know, people that I know I can pick the phone up to and have a conversation. People like Tim, Jeanette, Billy, Gord, lots of people. And one thing I've learned over the years is just be true to yourself and be true within your mediumship. You know, be honest. Because when you are honest, you know, there was a lady that I read for. It was last year during the lockdown, and we were on Zoom there, and we got into the reading. There was a couple of bits, you know, there's a few bits I was saying to her that were ringing true, but there was a few other bits that I was saying that weren't. And for me, it didn't flow. And I thought, you know, and I look at it from the perspective of that person, because, you know, you've got to treat this, you know, even though as mediums, we might see, you know, some people might see 4, 5, 6 sitters a day. So to us, it's just a natural process. But to that one sitter, you know, it might be their one sitting of the year. So I think it's, for us as mediums, we have to have that integrity and honesty within our mediumship. So, and like I said, this lady last year, I was reading for her, and it was on the Friday afternoon. As I was reading for her, I said, I'm really sorry. For me, this just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right. And she said, well, can we just give it another 5 minutes? So I obliged, and I gave a couple of more bits, and it was the same again. I said, no. I said, I'm going to stop. I said, I'll send you your money back, and or it's up to you, or we can try once more. And we rescheduled it to the following week. And I just said, listen, I said, if it doesn't work the second time, I said, that's it. I'm not doing it. And it's not. And anyway, I sat with her, and it was lovely. It was a nice reading, thankfully. But there have been times. It happened not so long ago. Funnily enough, a friend of mine, Bex in London, she pointed forward somebody to me, one of her friends, and it just didn't work. And I said to her, I'm really sorry. There's your money back. So you know, we've got to be honest. I certainly think within our mediumship.
We do reading days at the church once a month or so, and we'll have, you know, 6 or 8 mediums that come in, and we'll have people come in and get readings from them. And I always tell them from the very beginning, when you go to give that reading, if you know that connection's not there, then just tell the person, I'm sorry, I don't have the connection. It has nothing to do with you. It has to do with me. Let me find somebody else for you, and make sure you get a good reading, because at the end of the day, it's about that person getting the good reading. It has nothing to do with the medium.
Yeah. And also that person receiving a message, you don't know where they're at in their life either. Yeah. You know, you might be, you know, blimey, and Tom, I'm sure you've been in you know, similar positions as well. You know, there was one lady I read for, and when she sat in front of me, straight away, a friend of hers from the spirit world, who was very young when she passed, came through, and I described her and all of that, so she understood who it was. She then, and the first thing she said was, just tell her it's not time yet. Tell her it's not time. So then her parents came through, and she had, you know, the message that she needed. And then her friend came through again. She was, and the message to her was, just tell her it's not time. And I didn't get a sense of what it was. I didn't get anything. I just got them words. Tell her it's leaving for the door. I thought, oh, she's not. And she handed me an envelope, and she goes, "Oh, there you go, thank you." So I went to open it. She goes, "Oh no, can you open it when I've gone?" So I thought, okay. And this was my honest thought. It was, is she like trying to dwindle out of like the full amount maybe? Anyway, I thought nothing of it, and then she handed me the money. I was like, "What's this?" So anyway, she literally handed me the money. She went. So straight away, I didn't even go back. Didn't even sit down. I just opened it, and you know what? It was a suicide note.
Oh wow!
It was a suicide note, and only once has ever.
People. I mean, it just means it could mean the difference between life and death. You know,
absolutely.
Stepping off that edge. It really could. What we do is so important. I mean, it really is. I think what we do is it's just as much as being a doctor. You know, I mean, it really is.
I remember the first show we had on the Sunday Sofa, and we were broadcasted in the studio. And we had this woman who was ready to commit suicide. And one of our presenters came on and we chatted away. And on that show, we was talking about mental health and how much it is a killer. And where people committing suicide and stuff like that. And she watched the show. And about a week or so later, I received a message from her. A nice in-depth letter and a little teddy bear of such saying thank you with a love heart. And what she explained is that she was ready to kill herself, going through depression. And because she watched the show and listened to our presenters saying they've all gone through a depression at some type of their lives, and they've managed to get through it with spirit's help, friends, family, she listened. And because she listened, she decided that her life was worth a lot more than just giving in. It was worth fighting for. Mm. And she sent the letter in. And it was a quite emotional week when we read it all out and produced a teddy bear. And she became an avid follower on here. All because just by talking about something helped her. I don't think people realize how powerful words are.
Yeah.
Just by, as you say, when a stranger walks into the church, you say hello, they feel welcomed, and then they don't want to leave. You've made a new connection, a new friend, be it virtually or in person.
Yeah, absolutely. And
sometimes we need to step back and think what we're going to say to someone instead of just saying it. And I'm the worst person. I just waffle on forever if I had a chance to. No comments from you lot at home listening, by the way, because of that. But it is, I think, mediums should take that responsibility. It's the fifth principle, isn't it, of the SNU, personal responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely.
I find a lot of these mediums online, they're not. They just, give me $5 and I'll give you, or £10 and I'll give you a reading. So you're thinking, why don't you take the responsibility of what you're saying to someone, especially with the loved ones? And no disrespect to the American friends, but when we get them coming onto our channel, it's always about their love life. Yeah. Or they're being sued.
Part of that is because in the U.S. they're not trained. Well, not that people here are trained, but I think you get the meaning. Over there, when they go to a medium, they're expecting to get a fortune teller. You know, they're not expecting to get a medium that talks to dead people. You know, I mean, the majority of the people, when I go home, if I do readings, then they're always wanting to know, who am I going to fall in love with? Where's my next? When am I going to get pregnant? And, it's not, we just don't do that. Spiritualist mediums do not do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it really that different over there then?
Yeah, well, in the South, yeah. I don't know about the other states, but most definitely there. And I mean, I get requests all the time on Facebook and, get phone calls and stuff on WhatsApp all the time. People want to know, when are they going to find their new lover? Or is my partner messing around on me? If you got to ask that question, then the answer is probably yes. And Spirit's not going to step in.
Insecurity, isn't it?
Yeah, well, and Spirit's not going to step in and tell you stuff like that. I mean, seriously, it just doesn't work that way. I had one lady, Sunny. I was doing a pub readings at the pub, and those are just totally different than any kind of readings I've ever done before. And I had a lady there, and I had her mother and her father and her little brother and her grandparents all standing there around her. And she says, yeah, but what about getting married? And I was just like, what? Seriously? You got to find a man first. Spirit just don't do that.
It's a shame that they've got to go that way and can't realize they have to make their own decisions.
Exactly.
The spirit are there to guide us. How I see it is that my father's in the spirit world, but if he was here on the earth plane, I went to see him for a cup of tea or something, he'd be guiding me, he'd be advising me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly the same as what they do in the spirit. They're coming through to advise you. They're not here to give me the lottery ticket numbers, which really winds me up because I think they should. But the thing is that they're coming in to guide you, to say, hey, I'm still here, I'm making sure you're okay, I'm sending you the love, the energy that you need. You're a bit poorly, I'm here to say hello to you, just to lift you up a little bit more.
I had a person, I was doing platform at a church, and I had a person that I was giving a message to, and I remember it very well because of what happened. The message the gentleman was giving me was that she needed to take that step to move forward. That she could take that step off the cliff because Spirit's going to be there. They're going to be there to guide her. They're going to be there to help protect her. They're not going to let anything bad happen. And she came back 2 weeks later, and she had just quit work. She said, you gave me that reading. It was so wonderful, so I quit work. And I'm like, what? Don't ever do what a medium tells you to do. Spirit are there to guide us. They're not there to tell you to do something like that. I mean, especially not to me. Don't ever do anything I tell you to do.
Just reading Tim's comment there. It says, I think the spirit world will give you what you need, not necessarily what you want. Well, Tim, that's not fair. I want to win the lottery. I want to win the jackpot. All right?
Because I've literally just written with the comments going. I've just written a couple of things that I wanted to get back onto. But Olivia said the same thing as well. Olivia said the same thing as Tim, and I think it's right. When people, I've got it on my website that when people go on there about private readings, that I do have tarot cards, but I don't class myself as a tarot reader. It's more of a guidance, if you like.
Like a tool sort of thing.
I make it, a tool, exactly that. But even then, on the rare occasion that I do use them, I make it very clear to the people that I'm reading for. There was a young guy that I read for the other day, funnily enough, and his grandfather came through, and then there was another lady that came through for him, and he wanted guidance, which we went with. But I said to him, just know that even though I'm using these cards as a tool, it's important you recognise and understand that the inspiration is also coming from your loved ones in the spirit world. That this, when I see these cards, I might just see something in a different way. As the medium, it just gives me that tool to understand what I need to present to you. So what the spirit world might give to me, instead of it being the way I would normally interpret it, looking at the cards, it gives me a slightly different interpretation. But and going back literally there, but I can't remember the name of the lady that said something about the healing and long hair, where she went into a church, and I'm trying to think I can't think. It was only a few comments back.
Okay.
But she mentioned about she went into a church because she was told that she was a healer. She went into a church, spoke to somebody that offered healing, or was
Diane.
There we go, Diane. It was in charge of the healing. So found out it was a healer, but at the church we had a head of healing man. I asked if I could do some healing in the church. He said to me that you will have to have your hair cut short because your long hair will take all the healing from you. And I said, for me, that my opinion, this is my opinion, utter nonsense, tosh, in my opinion. I'm not being funny. I mean, all you've got to do is look at some of the fine healers out there. I've got friends, one being Carmela, a wonderful medium and healer as well. She's got long hair and she's a fabulous healer. So for me, that just tells me that head of healing man there actually doesn't really have an understanding, or certainly didn't at that point. Because for me, this is my point now. It's my little rant and rave. I don't care what people look like. You might be tall, short, fat, thin, whatever it might be. I don't care. I'm a big bloke. But you know what? I just think as long as you've got the right intentions as a healer, as a medium, whatever it may be, as long as your intentions are right and you're there to help and guide people in the right way that you're meant to, it doesn't matter who you are, how you look, as long as your intentions are right. So Diane, for me, that's utter nonsense.
So basically then what it's saying is that if you have no hair, you're going to be the best healer you possibly be then.
Exactly.
Okay.
Do you know, it scares me sometimes when you read comments like this. It worries me because if you're a new person at the church, if somebody's just walked into the church for the first time and ready for a service, and they overheard that conversation, and then later on down the line they then go for healing, and all of a sudden they turn up and there's a lady with long hair. Oh no, actually, can I go with that lady? She's got shorter hair. Well, what difference does that make? Well, she's got more healing, hasn't she? No. So I just don't get it. Olivia, that's ridiculous. Yeah, I agree completely. Utter nonsense, but yeah, my take.
Well, it's like when you go into church, I've seen it many times, that you go into church, you'll sit in there, and the medium seems to be going to, let's say, an older generation, and say, I've got a Harry here for you, I've got an Albert for you, and you're thinking, well, those names would have been round in those times of this elderly lady here, or the elderly person. Give us some evidence. Where's the evidence?
Hello, lovely.
Yeah.
Sophia is one of our amazing circle leaders at St. Albans Spiritualist Church.
Oh, brilliant.
I noticed she's got long hair, though, so she'll have to shave that off.
Amazing healing.
There you go. So, Diane, all you got to do is look at that comment there from Sophia, who is a healer at St. Albans Church, and the positive effect that healing has.
Just to let everybody know that you may not be able to see the comments because we are streaming to Facebook and YouTube at the same time. But Sophia has said, can't say my long hair has ever had a negative effect on me healing someone. So there you go. Because I think Diane is actually on Facebook, so you can't.
Right, okay, yeah.
They can't see each other's comments.
The other thing as well to remember is that when you're on the platform, and you're demonstrating your mediumship, that's also a form of healing. So again, are we taking away that fact? Are we taking away the idea that somebody, a medium with long hair, also doesn't have that healing ability, just because they may not be a healer in a way that we would recognise them as a healer, but they still have a healing ability to help people through a message. Diane, I agree. That's why I walked out. But he wasn't a very nice man to start with. I actually cried when I got home. I would just sort of the way I would look at that there, Diane, is those tears that you cried out was just the negative energy from him going out and leaving you. That's
yet again, personal responsibility again, having a cause effect of what you're saying.
Absolutely.
And people need to realise if they're working in a public arena what they're saying, because it can affect one. It's like text messages. You can text people and misunderstand completely what they're talking about, and then all of a sudden an argument starts.
Yeah.
Because you've misunderstood. And I've noticed also in some of the spiritual churches I've been to, a little clicky and then negativity around newbies or jealousy. If someone comes in who are a good medium and they've only been doing it for, let's say, 3 months, and someone established in the church has been doing it for 20 years, and are not as good, or have had a bad day, and it just seems to be, oh well, I've been doing this for 30 years, so I know a lot more than you. Why does that matter how long you're doing it for? You may have gained a lot of knowledge as you've progressed through your years, but doesn't mean that the mediumship would be different, surely. So it's still spirit working through communication through the mind, isn't it?
You can have a lot of knowledge and still be a nasty person.
Absolutely.
Well, just look at me, for example. I'm very nasty. I abuse everyone.
I just think that, for me personally, having been in that position where, a friend of mine, one of the first things he said to me when I first met him was, Craig, I'd sooner be stabbed in the chest than what I would in the back. He said, because I can see it coming then. And no true word spoken really, but I just think at the end of the day, if I was to go into a church, I might watch a medium that as a person I don't really get on well with. However, when I'm watching them deliver a message and you can see how moving it is to the person that's receiving the message, you think, really good message that is. Do you know what? You've got to give them that, because they might not, to you, you may not see eye to eye as people away from the mediumship, but as a medium, actually, you can't knock them, because that's a good message. And if they're doing it right, then best of luck to them.
I know a couple of people like that.
Yeah, so do I.
Well, it's no wonder why you mentioned it. But
they don't know the same people.
Yeah.
Now we're live. Remember what we've been saying, personal responsibility, But we should, though, shouldn't we? As people, even if you're not a medium, you should still respect the other person.
Yeah. Just listening. Just being there to listen to somebody, that's healing.
Yeah.
Because when somebody just gets it off their chest and you're there listening to them, to me, that's just as much of a healer as a person that does hands-on healing. It's the same. It's healing.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing is as well, just going back on what we were saying about, mediums, whether we like them or not, at the end of the day, sadly, when it comes to, people that don't like it when they see other people do well, sadly, they then start trying to put that other medium down. And I remember a position being out with Colin. We were in Gibraltar, and somebody said something about me on social media. And I remember these words distinctively. He just went on there and put whatever her name was, just put, if you can't say nothing nice, then say nothing at all. And I just think, you know what? It's a true word said across the board, whether or not you agree, whether or not you like them or not. If you can't say anything nice, then just say nothing at all. At the end of the day, if you're going to run somebody down, because of who they are or what they do, etc., me personally, it says more about you that's doing the running down than the person that you're actually running down. So, just, wish them well. Wish them well. For me, it's just love and light. Good luck. See you later. And then off we go.
Well, as we mentioned earlier on, we don't know what's going on in their lives.
Exactly. Exactly.
We might be ranting and raving, and you just don't know what's going on in it. And maybe they're ranting and raving because they need support. They don't know how to show their emotions or even ask for help, or they're too prudish, or they're too embarrassed to ask. So they just hit out without realizing that the people around them have to tolerate that, or to a degree you're pushing them away. What I say to people is that just think. You don't know what's the situation at this moment in time. For example, when I ring my mother sometimes, and she suffers from severe dementia, and she's in that hospital quite a lot. I'm not going to go into too long because it's my personal life. But I'd ring her up, see how she is, and then she'd start telling me that she's fed up with people ringing her up about her insurance. So she starts shouting at the phone to them. I said, but how do you know their person's just doing their job? They've got to earn a living. Maybe be a bit more sympathetic. Ask how they are, what they're doing. Have they had a good day? And then politely say, look, can you take me off your mailing list? Or I don't want to be there. I've got my insurance. Thank you. And end of conversation. And that person may be a bit more appreciative to the next one, because they'll probably get abusive all day, being told to go away, get a job, stop pestering. But that is their job. That's how they earn a living. So we shouldn't really be rude to them. Just be respectful to anybody. If there's somebody upset you, instead of holding it into the public arena, speak to them privately and say, look, you've upset me, and this is why you've upset me. And then hopefully try and make them understand what they said, instead of really shouting back. Sometimes think, because they're just rambling on because they don't know how to cope with the situation.
Absolutely.
Anyway, that's my pennies into there. Just to let everybody know, we are having a few internet issues. So there you go. That's it.
No worries.
So
I'm just looking at this. Oh, go on. Sorry, Richard.
No, please do, because I'll waffle on otherwise.
I was just looking at this comment from Joanne that she on the YouTube channel, I think this one is. So I do spiritual healing during my course. I witnessed healers give messages more related to physical life than related to health. What are your thoughts on that? Interesting one. See, again, with that, it always depends in what context. It always depends in what context. Is it the person that's having the healing? Have they started that conversation off? Is it something that they've started to talk about? But if it's the healer that's just talking about, the physical life, then I think you've got to be careful. I think you've also got to be careful with health as well, to be honest. At the end of the day, we might, you may be a healer, but, some people may be sort of like, be doctors, etc. But even sometimes when I'm given a message, not as a healer, but when I'm given a message, and I just say, "Oh, you must understand that there's been, tests or something that's been going on with you recently because your grandmother tells me or whatever it may be." They'll say yes, and I always say straight away, "Listen, I'm not a doctor or GP, neither are they." But they just let you know that they're aware of what's going on and sending you healing, and that's it. So I think you've just got to be careful on what you're saying, because it goes back to what we were saying earlier on. Some people will take it quite literally. If you say, "Oh, you better get to the doctors," all of a sudden they think they're dying or something like this. So you've got to be very careful, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Sue was saying, should you only be going to a spiritual church if you are thinking you're a medium? What do you think about that, Tom?
No, not necessarily. I mean, there are loads of sinners out there. There are teachers. You don't have to go to a spiritualist church. I mean, I would recommend people going to spiritualist churches, but no, I think you've got lessons to learn, and you may not learn all those lessons in a church. I mean, there's life, lots of life lessons that you wouldn't necessarily learn from a church.
Okay, thank you. Tim has spoken up again. I think the problem is there are so many different independent churches, so many different churches associated with organizations, but they have all their own truths. And when a tutor expresses their truths to their students, and that truth becomes the student's truth, and so the problem spreads.
Yeah, true.
Pushing on your own opinions onto others without being objective.
Yeah.
I think, you see, the thing is, again, I mean, I always say, especially as a tutor, I always say, listen, these are I can only teach from my own experiences, and I'll give you ideas of ways of working, but you adapt it to a way that suits you. Or I might give an opinion on whatever it might be, and I'll say, but listen, these are like people that might come and join the Saturday club that Billy and I do every Saturday, 2:00.
Talk about a plug there. Did you hear that?
2:00. There you go. No, but or even any live feed. To be honest, even tonight, I'm openly here, and I'll say, listen, these are my thoughts, these are my opinions. You make of it as you will. There might be some things that Tom will say that I'll disagree with, and vice versa. There might be something I say, Tom will think, "Oh, I don't see it like that, actually, Craig." But that doesn't mean to say he's right or I'm right or we're wrong. It's just we have a different thought process on things, and I think by doing that, actually, it's not a bad thing either. When so Tom might say, "Well, actually, Craig, why don't you look at it like this?" And I think, actually, yeah, you're right with that. And also, I've expanded my mind, and it just opens up my mind a little bit more. But yeah, Tim does have a naturally a fair point with that, I must say.
Right, gentlemen. Sadly, we've come to an end of the show.
Blimey, I've just looked at the clock. That's gone really quick.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to tell me we're like halfway through, but wicked stuff.
No.
It's been great. Thank you to everybody that's been sending in their questions. It's been marvellous.
Yeah. Well, I just want to let everybody know, tomorrow evening we have a demonstration of mediumship, and I believe the gentleman is Daz, who's coming on tomorrow evening. Vanessa's on, so she can correct me if I'm wrong, because you know how terrible I am, but that's on at 8:00 tomorrow. And then on Sunday morning, not tomorrow morning, Sunday morning, we have the Divine Service with Wimbledon Spiritualist Church. I believe that it's Ashley Robinson and Phil Shaw doing a demonstration. Sadly, there is no Sunday sofa this week, but we do have the next one would be the 27th, and sadly, that would be Leah's last show because she's planning to emigrate to another country. We'll hope that she can come on when she moves for the Sunday sofa. So with that in mind, we are now looking for a new host to come on. If you're interested in being a host on a Sunday sofa, you don't have to be a reader, but you do have to be mad and insane and work with Polly and Jane. Okay. So there is a vacancy for that. If you are interested, just send me a message via Facebook or the website, and we'll get back to you. Talking about the website, we have launched a new directory. So if you're looking for your local spiritualist church or local medium, go on there, type in your postcode, and it'll tell you your local medium, local church, or healer, or centre. That's only if they are obviously listed. If you are a medium or run a church, by all means, come onto our channel on the website, submit your information. It's 100% free, and you can then start promoting your churches or your centres or your own mediumistic skills. Also, if you are planning events, we have an event section on the SPTV website where you can go along and look for any training courses, beginners courses, anything healing. And if you're also a centre or a medium and you do events and you want to advertise, you can do it on that section as well. That leads me on to say thank you to Tom and to Craig for coming on this evening.
Pleasure.
So do you want to tell people how they can find you both?
Go for it, Tom.
Yeah, I'm on Facebook, Medium Tom Davison, Instagram, Medium Tom Davison, Twitter, Medium Tom Davison, everything Medium Tom Davison.
Excellent. And you can find me again on Facebook, either Craig Morris or Craig Morris Psychic Medium. And also you'll get me on Twitter. You'll also find me on Instagram. But my website, all the reviews, craig-morris.co.uk. You can go on there, find out where I'm going to be, what I'm up to, demonstrations, private readings, one-to-one tuition, workshops, and you can contact. And you can also sign up to my free monthly newsletter on there as well. So feel free to head to that and sign up for that as well.
So you're going to breathe. Well, thank you ever so much. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the show. And from us to you, God bless. Take care and have a great evening.
Take care.
And you're off.